When was the last time you stopped to think about where the food you eat comes from? Take this apple, for example. Although you'd like to think it was grown in the apple orchards of Washington State, picked and shipped to your supermarket, it likely was not. According to an article produced through Cornell University, 60% of fresh fruits and vegetables consumed in the United States are imported from other countries. This trend is not uncommon. According to the same article, 80% of seafood consumed in the United States is imported from other countries. So what? Who cares, right? Increasing the amount of food we import from other countries and decreasing the amount of American-grown food is bad for all U.S. citizens, and I'll tell you why. When food is produced outside the U.S. for U.S. consumption, it takes away American jobs. Take the beef cattle industry, for example. According to a statistics chart on Index Mundi, the beef cattle industry is down 30% from its peak in 1975. However, beef cattle demand has only increased since that time. The reason for this is an increased amount of imported beef from other countries, taking away jobs from Americans and sending them overseas. According to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the beef cattle industry is currently a $188 billion business supporting 1.8 million full-time jobs and having an economic effect on almost every county, yes, county, in the United States. Imagine how much the beef cattle industry could help our record high unemployment levels if it were only allowed to. The beef cattle industry is just one small part of a greater whole agricultural system plagued by this same problem. Furthermore, food grown outside the U.S. is not of the same quality as that grown in America. The top three exporters of food products to the United States are China, Mexico, and Canada. These three nations, specifically Mexico and China, have little to no regulations on food processing safety or the use of chemicals and pesticides in production. Even if there were, there are no government associations in place to regulate these laws. This means that the food you eat that's been imported from these countries very well could have been contaminated with pesticides, salmonella, listeria, nitrofuran, a known cancer-causing agent, aflatoxin, a chemical that causes stillbirths in pregnant women, just to name a few. You might say, well, that's okay. The United States checks all of its imported food before it's brought into the country, right? Wrong. In the U.S., we have the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, inspecting 80% of our food supply. However, the FDA only inspects 1% of imported foods. That is scary. Lastly, if we continue to replace American-grown food with food imported from other countries, we will become dependent on those countries. Think about how dependent the U.S. is on foreign oil. If we get to the point where the majority of our food is produced outside the U.S. and is then shipped to the United States, we will be dependent on our supplying nations for prices to be set. This means food prices as ridiculously high as gas prices. Additionally, in the event of world catastrophe or war, we could be left high and dry with no food at all. So there you have it. Now here's the tricky part. The next time you're in the supermarket and you have the choice to buy American food or food produced in a foreign country, I hope you'll do your part to protect yourself and all Americans. Remember, it does no good to sit up and take notice if you continue sitting.